Murder Man.
This is Phil from Flayed Disciple, and you're listening to Murder Metal Mayhem.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem! This is Pete Altieri of the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, and I have the privilege of doing this interview with the brutal death thrash band from the UK, Flayed Disciple. I recently got a promo copy of their new EP, and it blew me away. I'm really stoked to be doing this interview with you guys. So how is the weather over there in the UK? Is it raining?
Yeah.
Does it rain all the time there? Is that true?
Pretty much, but it's just cold and windy and shit at the moment, not cold, windy and rainy and shit. So
that's funny. I did an interview with a Danish band, and they said it's like rainy and shitty there, like all through the winter, just miserable. So
we're pretty much on the same plane as Denmark.
That's kind of what I was doing. Looked at the map. Similar. I'm like, all right, yeah, it's probably similar.
Yeah.
Right? That's cool.
Yeah, it sucks most of the time.
Very cool. Well, for our listeners and some of our viewers watching this on YouTube, why don't you go around the horn? We'll start with you, Phil. Just let our listeners know who you are and what you do in the band.
Cool. So I'm Phil, and I play drums and do all the lyrics and most of the artwork.
Oh, cool.
Not all of the digital stuff, but
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All the creative stuff.
All in house, isn't it?
Very cool. What about you back there, Thurston?
I'm Thurston, obviously, and I play lead guitar, and I write a lot of the songs, a lot of the riffs, and I kind of that's kind of my deal with it.
Okay, cool. I think I caught you in an SOD shirt on one of those videos. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah.
I always look at the shirts the bands wear. I'm like, nice, that's cool. Very cool. And last but not least.
Yeah, so I'm John. I play guitar in the band.
Excellent. And I've been dealing with you, John, on Messenger. So thanks for setting this up with me. That worked out really good.
No problem.
Yeah, I got Imperative PR sent me that press release, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, I definitely dug it. We've got, three of us doing Murder Metal Mayhem, and the other two guys are more into the death grind stuff. I'm more of a thrash death metal guy. So I thought you guys fit, nicely in my wheelhouse. So I definitely wanted to get a hold of you. So I appreciate you guys doing this with me. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Now, the new EP, Hell in Living Flesh, love that title. It's one heck of a nasty piece of work. And who wants to talk about the writing and recording process of how that all went down?
Well, I mean, when it comes to the writing process, you come up with the riffs, you know what I mean? And we take it into the studio, and a lot of my stuff is like old death metal thrash influence, I suppose. But as soon as you bring it into the studio with all the boys, then all the other influences come in. Like Phil's a lot into his extreme grinds, like you're on about, So that's where I think all our influences together kind of brings out something good in the music. You see what I mean?
That's cool. So you guys recorded in a studio, or did you do it yourself, or how did you do it?
Yeah, well, we did it properly. So we did it in a studio. So just it's a local studio, the one we've been jamming in for the last 10 years.
Cool.
But they've got a good setup. And they just did it all for us in there.
Sounds
it took a while,
amazing,
it was throughout.
man. The quality is really top shelf, really good stuff.
You did an awesome job. Yeah, it's one of the guys who there's basically a band that own the studio and rehearsal room, and it was one of their guys that just turned around and said that he'd be up for producing it and doing all the engineering, and he's absolutely smashed it. We couldn't have asked for better, really.
No,
we write everything in the rehearsal room anyway, So we literally just left all our stuff in our rehearsal room, and basically mic'd it up and recorded.
That's awesome.
It's
then that
crazy.
helps
It's
too, because you're
something
comfortable in there. You know, that's where you jam.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so that's
it's like
really
a second
cool.
home to us all, really.
We
Right.
recorded our first ever EP there.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was kind of cool going back, like 10 years later and doing something else. It's
All
crazy.
modernized now. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it comes out on April 22nd on Bethlam Records. And where is that label based, and how did you guys get linked up with them?
Bethlam Records is us, basically.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that at all. So that's you guys then.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Very
with our old stuff, we've gone with more underground labels. We never really get what we wanted out of it, so we thought we don't want anyone to. We like doing it all DIY now, everything. So we just thought, why don't we
that's
just
the
release
way
it
to go,
ourselves?
man. I mean, you might
It's a lot
not,
easier these days.
the way I look at it is, you may not be able to get as many breaks as you might if you were signed to like Metal Blade or Nuclear Blast,
Yeah, maybe.
but you have full control over it. You're not at the mercy
Yeah.
of somebody telling you got to go on tour, in June, and you got family stuff going on. It's just, it's hard to do with life happening. So I think the
That's
way you
it.
guys
And we
are
never
doing
wanted to
it-
go chasing labels. We didn't want to be, just chasing to try and get on a decent label for this, that, and the other. We'd rather just release it ourselves and do what we want.
Good
Be in
for
control,
you.
like you say.
Yeah, I'm an author, and I do write horror and stuff like that, and I've kind of got the same attitude as I'd rather self-publish and be my own boss than to try to find somebody that might be willing to take it on, and then I got to lose control over it. I got to change this, change that. So I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, Phil, I see that you are back in the band. You were the original drummer. So how did that all come to pass that you came back to the band?
Yeah, so when I left originally, it was because I was doing a tattoo apprenticeship. That's what I do for my main job, is I'm a tattoo artist.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I had to make a decision and actually, try and make some money in life. As we know, death metal doesn't really pay the bills.
Right.
So I went off to do my apprenticeship, and then I was obviously working really hard at that, and I had a few other things going on. And these guys got Rich in the band, who's an epic drummer, and he took over for one EP, wasn't it?
One EP,
Only one EP,
Yeah, to go for one EP,
couple of tours.
and stuff like that. And then I got to a point in my life where life freed up a little bit, and I was absolutely dying to drum again. And they needed a drummer, and I just said, well, fuck it, I'm free again.
I'm back.
Back in the band.
I'll come
Band
back
is
if you
back
want.
together. That's cool, man. That's,
So it's just slotted right back in, and then we started writing, and then got shut down for 2 fucking years with COVID.
Oh my God. I'm so glad I
Yeah,
wasn't
that is,
playing through that, because that would have sucked. I can't imagine what that had to be like as a young, or an independent band doing their own thing,
So it took us over 2 years to get this recording done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because of the time delays and people's schedules, and then obviously people get ill and have to quarantine, and
Right.
everyone's got their horror stories about it. I think it's fucked up every single band that's been around during it. So
It has. Now, how are things in England right now with COVID? Is it all kind of back to normal again?
there's a mad wave, isn't there?
I think it's still everywhere. I mean, it seems to be everybody that we know has got it, but they don't really talk about it as much anymore. It's kind of
Right.
gone off the radar a bit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
many people seem to
Ukraine
be getting
situation
seriously ill.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's the same thing here. I mean, it became the shiny object for a couple of years, but then there's a new shiny object, and the news tends to focus on that. So now it's the
That's
war
exactly
in
it,
Ukraine,
yeah.
which
A
is
shiny
horrible.
object in
It's
the news, too.
absolutely horrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's nice to see bands touring again, and stuff happening. It seems like things are somewhat
definitely.
getting back to normal again. That's cool. Now, I see that you have a new singer in the band, which is Merv. And how did you guys find him? Because definitely, I liked your stuff you recorded before, but I also like this stuff. So it's a cool change, but how did that all come about?
Well, Tim, our first vocalist, he was absolutely epic, but he unfortunately started suffering with problems with his hearing and problems with his throat.
Oh, wow.
As I'm, and it was one of those things. He just, no matter what he did, he couldn't make anything work for him, and it got to a point where he was, halfway through one song, and it would be hurting him so much he just couldn't carry on.
Yeah, it was too much.
Oh,
so
wow.
we parted ways with Tim, with no bad blood whatsoever. Tim's absolutely awesome, and he's
good.
But he just couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
And so I suggested, I was in a band with Merv a few years back called Burning Skies from Bristol, and Merv was our singer then, and his talent's absolutely insane. Like, he's so diverse with his voice and everything. And we wanted to get someone who could, because Tim was great with the gutturals. He's like,
right.
Chris Barnes style, like nasty guttural vocals, but
right.
he didn't really have a mid range. And because we're a bit thrashy, we kind of wanted someone with a bit of mid range to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And because Merv does a lot of punk and hardcore vocals as well, and I knew how aggressive his voice sounds, I just said, well, let's give Merv a shot.
Right.
And he came in pretty much on the fly on the recording. He had the lyrics basically on the day.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he came in to record the vocals, and we handed him the lyrics, and he just absolutely fucking nailed it.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
He's Merv absolutely lives for it. It's all he does. And he's probably done vocals for I don't know, like 50 bands at this point. It's crazy. And he does like hip hop and R&B and metal and punk and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's just awesome.
Yeah, I really like the vocals big time. Like I said, I'm more of a thrash death guy, so I like a little bit of the gutturals, but not exclusively. So it's like perfect,
Yeah.
As long as it's angry all the time, we like.
Very angry. Yeah, with a band named Flayed Disciple, I mean, anything but angry just would not work, right?
Exactly. No clean singing.
No, not at all. Now, any touring plans coming up for you guys now that things are somewhat getting back to normal again?
No, not so much. No,
nothing's come up. We've been offered a couple of things here and there, but it's just not quite been exciting enough for us to, to jump at it. Back when we did our first album, we would jump at anything, but now we're a bit more selective, I think, over what we would like to do.
Right.
And we're older. We've got families and jobs, so it's a bit more.
It makes it hard, man. It does. It is. Yeah, oh, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Where in England are you guys located?
In Taunton.
Southwest.
Southwest.
Southwest, okay. Yes. All right, very cool.
Small little town of farmers.
Yeah, farmer town, pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am here. I'm from New York City originally, so I moved to the middle of the Midwest in the United States in 1990 around cornfields, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? So I'm in the sticks now, but I'm from the Bronx, so definitely a far cry from where I'm from. Now, I always ask bands this because I have learned about so many killer bands from asking this question, but are there any bands you guys are listening to that our listeners might not know about? Any cool local bands or anything that you guys might have, the little morsel of stuff to pass on to the metalheads that are listening?
I mean, there's a few good like grind bands and metal bands and stuff like that. Is a Merciless Precision still going? No, probably not. But yeah, like the scene moves fast, doesn't it? A lot of these bands that we toured with back when we did our last recording and everything, like a lot of them aren't around anymore.
Right. There's a good local one, Seprivation.
Yeah, Seprivation were absolutely crushing. We did like 3 dates in the UK with them.
Seprivation?
Pretty much right at the end.
Yeah.
The end of me being in the band. They were brutal. I don't know really.
What popped up on my Spotify the other day when we were listening and getting drunk was a band called Lowest Creature. They were pretty cool, weren't they?
Oh yeah, I love that too.
Yeah.
Lowest, Sweden or maybe Creature? Norway, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you
Just things
guys.
that pop up on Spotify.
I'm going to pass a couple to you guys. I told you about Schizophrenia. Those guys are badass. But another good one from Australia, In Malice's Wake. They are death thrash. In Malice's Wake, absolutely brutal. And in that band, the guitar player does their art too. So kind of like with you, Phil, he's doing a lot of that. So they are also a DIY type of band, but they are fantastic. Really, really dig those guys. So I think you might like them based on some of the stuff that you've said. In Malice's Wake.
As far as UK bands, I mean, the one UK band that's just blown me away, like with their last album anyway, was Infant Annihilator.
Oh, okay. I've heard of them. Oh, yeah.
They like their last album was. I mean, they're a studio only band. They don't play live because it would pretty much be impossible, you know.
Right.
But just as a piece of music, their last album was the funniest videos ever made. So yeah, I definitely recommend their last album. I think it was called The Battle of Yaldabaoth or something. It sounded like a really black metal sounding album name, but it's just as a piece of metal music, it is absolutely wicked. It's class.
Okay. Fuck yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Very cool. All right. What I always like to ask bands a kind of a fun question, and I come up with this one for you guys. So I'll each ask one of you, or each one of you one at a time. So Phil, we'll start with you. If you had to choose one of the following people to get trampled in a Flayed Disciple mosh pit, would it be Machine Gun Kelly, David Draymond, or any member of Nickelback? What would it be, Phil?
I would say, for being a complete dickhead and always being in the news recently, I'd say get MGK out of the way, probably.
I'm with you on that, man. I'm sick of that son of a bitch.
I hate the guy.
Yeah, he's the piece of shit.
He's just he's just fucking like pure poser,
totally
garbage. Like,
totally, he's like reaching for straws, trying to do metal. I mean, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd like that guy to get
trampled,
disemboweled, and spread across the fucking dance floor. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, Thurston, what about you? Are you in agreement there, or you want to pick one of the other two?
Well, we were talking about this the other night, and we were looking at your questions, and I just saw all of them.
All of them. All right. I'm with you.
Definitely all of them.
I don't want any of them to survive.
We're all about, like, in our lyrics, we always go over the top with like body counts, and we always say like millions destroyed and billions burned and shit. So yeah, we'll just say fuck it to all of them.
Fuck all of them.
That's
all right.
How we feel.
All right.
The majority of people.
All right. I agree with you. So what's the metal scene like over there in the UK? I know COVID, but outside of COVID, I mean,
we're a bit detached from it, really, because we haven't been playing live for quite a while, and we're a little bit out of touch with it. So it'd be a bit harsh to say anything, but I mean, from the outside, I don't know. It doesn't look
not like it used to be.
No.
So where is the metal most likely to happen? In London, or I mean, I don't know a lot about England and the different cities, but I mean, is there a certain?
We were talking about it before we came on with you, really, like, because obviously you heard about Brexit and all that stuff.
Right.
That happened.
Right.
Yeah. So we got taken out of the EU. And it's just caused absolute mayhem here with everything, and like visa troubles and all that kind of shit. And we've noticed that loads of bands who used to play, people used to do like 5 or 6 stops around like all the major places in the UK. So it'd be like Plymouth, Bristol, London, Manchester, Birmingham, or something like that. Whereas now, most bands, like I noticed on Aborted's last tour, I always used to go and watch Aborted, like every tour.
Right.
And they did one show in the UK last time.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's, I don't know, it seems like we
just get avoided, I think.
Yeah, we get avoided now because it's a pain in the ass,
Yeah, like I could see that.
Yeah, it's chopped us away from most of the world, So it's, so from the outside, it doesn't look too good.
Yeah, I saw Onslaught came
Unfortunately,
over here to the U.S. and did a big fest out in California, I think it was. So that's cool. I dig
Yeah,
those
nice.
guys. Those guys are badass.
Is that the ones that Chuck?
Yeah.
The
guy
our friend Chuck in
recorded our
Bristol.
last EP, he has a lot to do with recording Onslaught, actually.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
did an interview at Nige back right when that new album came out. That was a couple years ago, maybe not quite that, but yeah, super nice guy, and yeah, I really dig those guys. It's old school band.
Yeah, they're a
for
cool
sure.
band. Yeah, proper old school thrash band.
Any influences that you guys have that might surprise us? I mean, like Britney Spears or anything like that might surprise us here at Murder Metal Mayhem? None of that?
Probably not. There's nothing that's unsurprising, I wouldn't say.
I think like
Pretty
we
standard
try and
stuff.
Yeah, we try and chuck all of our influences in. Like Thurston said, I listen to probably a bit more of the more like extreme stuff, like the real fast death metal stuff, like Nile and Origin and stuff, and all the black metal and all of that. But then, we all listen to Megadeth and Judas Priest and all the old school guys, and that's where a lot of the sort of groovy stuff comes with solos and stuff. And so it's fairly standard really. We were laughing about that question because we were literally just going to say no, like no original influences, just all the usual. So Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, all
a lot
the
of
usual.
influences, all punk, even like some classic rock. A lot of anything that's good, it all goes in.
Right.
We even like to chuck in little miniature slams every now and then, like Devourment or something. Do you know what I mean? Like just a little bit of slam death metal in there as well. And then there's loads of punk stuff. Like Thurston and I used to listen to loads of like Pennywise and all the old speed punk bands from back in the day. So that all gets chucked in. And
that's cool.
It all comes out in our music, I think.
That's cool. I happened to start playing bass in the mid '80s, so it was the perfect time. Slayer, Metallica, all that stuff was brand new. And like you guys, I mean, I grew up with, Maiden, Priest, Ozzy, Sabbath, all that. But then I started getting into heavier stuff. And I went and saw Metallica on the Ride the Lightning tour when Cliff was still in the band. And I got to see him at like an arm's length away. And it blew my ass away. And that's what got me into the heavier stuff. So, I love to get the younger bands when I do interviews with younger bands and give them shit about some of the stuff I've seen in concert, like Maiden on Peace of Mind was my first metal show ever. So very, very influential.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. It's incredible. So the fact that I'm old and decrepit does have some advantages,
It's nice chucking that in people's faces every now and then. They're like being able to say, I went to see my first Cannibal Corpse show over 20 years ago.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's crazy thinking about it. Really, I don't feel like it was over 20 years ago. But
I know. I interviewed a
was,
young band, and he was saying his first concert was one of the Cannibal Corpse. I think it was Kill. And I was like, oh, the band I played in toured with them on that, or played a show on that tour with them, and it's like, man, I feel older than dirt, that this kid was like in junior high school, and here I was an adult playing this show, it's just sometimes it's amazing when you see the age gap. But I think the thing that's cool with metal is that the older guys can pass on, to the younger guys what, things that they've seen or heard. And I think it's just that's what makes the metal community, I think, so awesome.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
Now, if you guys had to pick one major band to open for, any band that you'd want, what would it be? Phil, what about you? I'll ask you first. What do you think?
Band to open for?
Yeah, any band.
I reckon I'd have to say Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse.
I have to, because they're the first band I ever listened to that was extreme. I had Hammer Smash Face. They did the live cannibalism back in like '99 or something. Yeah. And it was the live version of that with George Fisher doing the vocals. And I just remember I remember listening and thinking, that's live. That's the most brutal thing I've ever heard, and it's recorded live. And then I went on to find all of the fast stuff like Slayer and all the other death metal and black metal, and so they kind of started me off on extreme music. So I'd have to say Cannibal Corpse.
That's cool. They were real nice when we played a show with them. Real friendly, very nice to play with. They weren't
They always come across as being nice chaps.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I spoke to them at the first gig I went to. I spoke to George only really quick. But they were really nice. They were just hanging around at the back of the Electric Ballroom in Camden, just talking to everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were class. I say I talked to them, I probably stood there like a 16-year-old going, hi.
What about you, Thurston? What about you for a band that you'd want to open for?
I might just say something like Exodus or something, just because I've been following them a lot. Well, a lot of Gary Holt stuff. He's everywhere at the minute.
It's amazing.
And I don't know. I think I follow him on Instagram and that, and he's a great guitar player. He seems really cool.
Yeah, he's got a wicked tone. His tone is just brutal. Yeah, the down picking stuff.
He knows his equipment, doesn't he? He makes it sound awesome, doesn't he? So I'd like to jam with them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I got to interview him and Paul Bostaph when they were in it, when he was in Exodus. I got to interview them on the Shovel-Headed Kill Machine tour up in Chicago, and they were real nice, real friendly guys. And then what about you, John? Yeah, what about you, John?
Probably Slayer. I reckon Slayer would be an obvious choice, but a fucking great band to work with.
Hard to argue with that. Love some Slayer.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so
the standard
good
when it comes to thrash.
Right.
You know it'd be a big show at least, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, it'd be a huge
decent
one.
show either way.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm surprised one of you didn't say Machine Gun Kelly,
Well, only if we could watch him get trampled in our pit.
There you go.
Yeah,
now, I saw a video for War Master that one of your fans did. Holy shit, that is one brutal video. How did that come about? Did he just send that to you and say, check it out? Or do you know him or what?
No, he did a video we've known him for years. He's one of our friends from Bristol. But he did a video for a band that myself and Merv, our singer, did. Merv's still doing it, but we did a band called Priest Crippler, which is just all-out grindcore. It was like 13 songs and 8 minutes long.
Right.
So, pure grindcore. And it's called Stone Cold Steve Irwin, if you want to check it out.
Oh, nice.
But he did a video for one of the songs off of that. And he used all the footage from the movie The Raid. You ever seen The Raid? It's like a Korean movie, and they go up through a skyscraper, and he just gets to the top by fucking everyone up, basically. And he took all of the cool scenes out of that and made this mad video for us. So when it came time to do one for War Master, it was like, well, let's get down to do loads of crazy shit from Rambo and Terminator and all the rest of it. He did it. It's amazing. I've watched it I don't know how many times already.
That's cool. One of the guys that does the show with me does Goremonger. It's a one-man grindcore band, but he's been doing that for quite a few years. But Goremonger,
I'll have to check that out.
Check it out. Yeah, he's pretty sick. That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering about that. That's just a really good video. Now, Phil, I hear you're a true crime fan, and we were talking before we started this. We're going to be doing the episode that this interview will be featured in is the week we do Joanne Dennehy, a very, very brutal case. But what do you remember about that psychotic bitch? Stabbing people on the street with a friggin' Bowie knife. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. I mean, as soon as you said the name of to John, what I got was that image of her holding that fucking crazy knife that looks like it's from Conan or something like that.
Right.
But I think she was licking the knife or doing something like that.
Yeah.
And the reason I remembered it is she got given the whole life tariff, which only a couple of other women have ever had. Mm-hmm. So she's in some fucking evil company as well.
Right.
But yeah, I remember she killed a few and stabbed a few more random people walking their dogs and stuff like that. But I remember one of the weird thing I remember from it. I might be getting this mixed up with a different thing, but one of the people she killed, I think she like dressed him up in a dress. Before,
Yeah,
like,
it was
dumping
her.
his body. That was her.
It was her landlord. She was having an affair with him, and he was letting her stay in one of his his apartments for free. And she was having sex with him, and so she wanted to embarrass him. So she killed him and put a dress on him. And of course, that's not as bad as it would be to have your loved one, butchered and thrown on the side of the road. But then to do that, I mean, that's just really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy, Stretch, the real tall guy that helped her, they were like the odd couple. He's like 7 foot tall, and he's helping her.
It was like a reverse, like Moira Hindley and that, because obviously in that Moira Hindley was kind of subservient to
Brady, right? Ian Brady.
That's right, Ian Brady. Yeah. She was kind of subservient to Brady, but this was kind of the other way around, wasn't it? He was like the lackey who drove her around.
Oh, yeah, he was obsessed with her. He'd do anything for her. But, yeah, she was the driving force behind it. But he's the one that drove the car when she stabbed the 2 guys walking their dog that day. Back one after the other, like 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just
horrible. I remember it, yeah.
Yeah, so that...
she was absolutely crazy.
So that'll be an all-UK episode when you guys are on. So that'll be cool. I'll have to come up with a couple of good bands to play with you guys on the bumper music we play between the segments. What about social media? You guys one of you mentioned Instagram. I know you're on Facebook, but any other ways that people listening can get a hold of you guys?
That's pretty much it. We're new to Instagram. We've only had it maybe a couple of months. It wasn't really something that we got into, but we have done recently.
That's cool.
But because Facebook's become a little bit kind of, people seem a bit fed up with Facebook, so we're trying to move away.
Right.
But that's smart. The main way to see what we're doing. Yeah, we're always going to put shit on Facebook and spread it about, and you can contact us through there and whatever.
Okay. If you're listening, I'll link to that Facebook page on our in the episode description. If you're interested to check these guys out, I'll provide a link to that so people can do that. And then you guys have a band camp too, don't you?
Oh, yeah, we have a band camp. Yeah, that's where we're going to release the... Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I was looking at your T-shirts because I was going to get a T-shirt.
Everybody don't know what Bandcamp is, but oh yeah, we're getting them in. Yeah,
yeah.
That's all on Bandcamp. Yeah, so
all right. Well, I'll link to that too.
We're going to put the album, all the on there.
Yeah, cool. Buy some merch.
Yeah, well, that's why I always push it. That's why I want to buy a shirt myself, just because I like to support it. So. I don't want a free one. I want to pay for it because that's what helps you guys, keep it going. So I'm all about it. Of course.
We'll send some goodies anyway.
That's cool. Thank you. No problem. Anything you guys want to add to our discussion? I know we talked about a lot of different things, but anything you want to add to it?
Thanks for having us on. And if you're out there and you like savage fucking death metal and thrash, and give us a listen.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you guys coming on with me here for Murder Metal Mayhem. We appreciate it. Definitely love the tunes. And I want to close this one out with my favorite track on the album, I Am Leviathan, just absolute brutality from start to finish so our listeners can check you guys out. So that's how we'll leave this. We'll turn them loose on that track, and a brand new album. And when does it come out again?
April the 22nd. Friday, April the 22nd.
April 22nd. So when you're hearing this, the album will be already out. So go to that episode description, buy the merch, support these guys. And until then, guys, horns high from the U.S., man.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Man.